Greetings again, my constant scryers. Attune your magics to the sound of my voice. Clutch your reagents close, and be sure that your warding spells are holding strong, for you may be a little distracted today. We have a gripping tale of intrigue today, and some more news from the Sword Coast, and how the event known as the Blinding is affecting Faerun. For those who've been afflicted by mind-altering spells, or those who were too busy warping reality to tune into my last sending, the Blinding was an event that happened recently that rendered every man, woman, beast, and creature in Faerun blind for over a minute. So far, we don't know who or what caused the blinding, but we do know some of the effects of that event. Some of the rules that form our reality have shifted, causing adventurers to learn new skills and spells, or even forget once familiar techniques. As well, interplanar travel has become even more dangerous and unpredictable than it was. Well-known portals and methods of traveling to the Feywild or the Shadowfell have ceased working or have become wildly unpredictable. Gateways of travel within Faerun are sending travelers to unknown destinations, or perhaps just blinking explorers out of existence. What's more, everyday objects are periodically becoming gateways of planar travel. A quick trip to the larder to quell your midday hunger pangs may well land you halfway across Faerun, or some other more unfamiliar land inside the material planes, or even beyond. Ensure that your doorways are just doorways, and that your windows are just windows, dear scryers. But let's turn our attentions to the problems we can solve, shall we? I have a tale of murder and deception that might just intrigue you today. If you're an adventurer, it pays to keep abreast of what kinds of evil stalk the lands. Or if you're a fellow warper of reality like myself, you might just be tempted to lead some unsuspecting explorers into this nefarious plot. I call this story Moldy Cheese and Expired Sheep. Our tale begins with a task seemingly simple enough for fresh-faced, inexperienced adventurers. But if your flock is experienced enough, I'll point out dangers that will be challenging enough to threaten even the most stalwart of do-gooders. Our tale concerns the small town of Ireweald. You may not find it on the maps of the Sword Coast, unless the cartographers among you are most dedicated to the smallest of details. Many of the maps that I have seen tend to only present the greatest landmarks of our lands. But be aware, there are villages and towns all across the lands waiting to be discovered. If you're in possession of such a map, locate the Cloakwood Forest to the south of the great city of Baldur's Gate. To the south of the Cloakwood, between that forest and Candlekeep, make a mark on the coastway. It's there that you will find the town of Ireweald. It's a small town, mostly comprised of sheep herders and farmers. It serves as a provisioning point for traders and travelers and merchants making their way between Baldur's Gate and Nashkel at the edge of the Cloud Peak Mountains. Its location along the tradeway makes it a popular spot for travelers to get a room for the night. It's here in Ireweald where our story begins. While Ireweald may not be famous for much, travelers can enjoy a bounty of mutton or lamb at affordable prices, and the town has a reputation for aged sheep cheese. The cheesemakers of Ireweald pride themselves on making a sharp, hard cheese that's well suited for travel. As most of the people who discover Ireweald are only passing through, Irewealdian Sharp is a popular staple that provides respite from a steady diet of tack biscuits and dried jerky the most travelers have to subside upon. And there's where our troubles begin, dear scryers. Despite that the process of aging that cheese being well known and well practiced, the cheese has begun to mold in a most undelectable manner. Despite Ireweald's cheesemakers' best efforts, every wheel produced is decaying before it comes of age. Likewise, the sheep farmers providing the milk for the cheese are complaining that their sheep are taking ill at a rapid rate. While the concerns of simple farmers and cheese merchants may normally be below the notice of the more heroic-minded folk amongst you scryers, those who are used to creating and unfolding plots may suspect that there is something more sinister at play here. Let's figure out how adventurers are going to take the bait for such a rural plot. Up north, at the sprawling and glorious city of Baldur's Gate, the Flaming Fist, Baldur's Gate's guard and acting military, frequently receive requests from neighboring towns for support. They are inundated by reports of banditry, missing persons, orc raids, mysterious and supernatural threats of the Cloakwood Forest. The mind boggles, or perhaps delights at the myriad of threats facing the lands. Though the Flaming Fist's numbers are great, the requests are far too numerous to address. It seems this fist has their hands full enough, just trying to keep the streets of Baldur's Gate in order. But fear not, scryers. These petitions for help do not go entirely unheard. Baldur's Gate is home to a plethora of adventuring guilds who are more than willing to snap up these contracts, distributing them to naive adventurers willing to exchange blade skill and spell for coin and heroic notoriety. Oh, now here is a wonderful place to embroil your would-be heroes in the plot surrounding Ireweald. Perhaps those coin-coveting folk of Acquisitions Incorporated will snatch up the contract. Or perhaps your magics will manifest your own adventuring guild scryers. But if you find your powers are failing you, I'd be thrilled to introduce you to one of these guilds. The Missing Hand Adventurers Guild is located near the Heap Gate that separates the affluent shopping district of the Wide from the underprivileged inhabitants of the Heapside district in Baldur's Gate. The Flaming Fist mans the Heap Gate day and night, weeding out known thieves and pickpockets, so that visitors and denizens of the Wide district can convince themselves that they may spend their coin in complete safety. I suspect as much trouble finds its way from the plethora of travelers flooding in from the Black Gate on a daily basis. But it's comforting for some to imagine that the mere presence of the Fist keeps away all manner of ne'er-do-wells. But ignorance is one of the privileges of the rich, dear scryers, so let's leave them to their illusions. Now this makes a fabulous plot for your adventurers if you crave giving them a little danger before they even leave town. Consult your manuals for humanoids in an urban environment. If your party is just starting out, your group may encounter bandits, thugs, bandit captains, or any manner of thief and mugger. Experienced crew may accidentally interrupt drow assassins mid their plots, or disguised blackguards and necromancers who've snuck into Baldur's Gate to meet with powerful contacts that will aid them in their dark plots. If your group encounters any of these unsavory characters at night in the streets, there are hundreds of alleyways and corners within Baldur's Gate, and the Flaming Fist can't keep their eye on all of them. But I digress when tempted with the opportunity for violence. I believe I was introducing you to the Missing Hand Adventurers Guild. Their office is marked by a sign with a white open hand. They have a modest front just within the wide district that they procured for a reasonable sum many years ago. The inside has the appearance of having once been a small ale hall. There's a small bar top at the back of the room and 3 tables with chairs in the floor space suitable for meetings to discuss contracts or interview would-be mercenaries of the guild. There's a single office in the back that is now crowded with contract scrolls. The Missing Hand is a small guild operated by 3 proprietors. The first person anyone is likely to meet upon entering the guild is Anavari. She is an enthusiastic and perpetually upbeat tiefling sorceress. Her excited and flighty personality is marked by her exuberant fast-talking. She is a magical scholar, but she has foregone robes for the fine leathers suitable for dashing about when she becomes excited or distracted, which, near as I can tell, is most of the time. She has a desk over at the side of the main room, frequently covered in contracts or arcane research. These days, she's eager to talk the ear off of any person who wants to discuss theories of the blinding and what might have caused it. She's an excellent person from whom to discover the troubles with planar travel and portals if your group hasn't discovered that information elsewhere. Anavari handles all of the pending contracts for the Missing Hand. Though her desk may be chaotic, the contracts are all stored in perfect order using a converted wine rack that spans the wall. The alcoves that were once used to house fine vintages are perfect for keeping the scrolls from piling up. Anavari may seem scattered or distracted, but she can locate and retrieve any contract within an instant. Distracted by the exuberance of Anavari, visitors may be forgiven for not noticing a figure often lurking behind the bar. Or perhaps he has an uncanny talent for going unnoticed when it suits him. Jaren Walden is a handsome middle-aged human. He has well-coiffed salt and pepper hair with a well-kept mustache and goatee. He'll be dressed in noble attire and adorned with several rings, necklaces, and earrings. Jaren has a pleasant, almost silky voice, and frequently wears a smirk with a raised eyebrow on his face. His very demeanor conveys that he is the holder of secrets, and that his rakish wit will seldom give way to true seriousness. Jaren is a former member of the local Thieves Guild, and as such, can aid adventurers in finding rare goods, or direct them where to sell plunder. Especially when no question of origin is desired in the transaction. Jaren serves the Missing Hand by acting as liaison to secure contracts from the Flaming Fist, or even directly from petitioners. Most often locked away in the back office is Kral, a dragonborn veteran of many wars. Kral's age is marked upon him by his scars and the whitening of the edges of his ruby-red scales. He wears a patch over his left eye, hiding a story from his younger years as a mercenary. His every move betrays his history as a warrior. And though his hand looks like it was permanently molded to hold a weapon, these days, he's most often found holding a quill or counting out coin. Kral is the owner of the Missing Hand Guild, and is responsible for interviewing applicants, assigning contracts, and paying them out when completed. It seems the Kral is welcoming a group of potential mercenaries now. Let's see if I have a bat roosting nearby, shall we, squires? Perhaps we can listen in on him.
Ah, yes. Anavari has told me that you might like to do a bit of work for the missing hand. She says that you have some experience with mercenary work. We'll see if you know a weapon from a plow blade soon enough. I'm sure you're expecting some heroic task that rewards you in riches. But you're going to have to earn your trust here first. Treat our clients well. Accomplish your assignments without delay or complaint. And you'll soon find your way to well-earning contracts. If you don't manage to get yourself killed, or you don't run off. The missing hand takes 40% from each contract. Before you protest, most of the other guilds in the city take 40, 60 the other way. But we believe in paying well for work well done. So I don't expect any backhanded dealings or ill negotiations with our clients. If you try any underhandedness with us, Jaren will find out. And our next contract we hand out will be to bring you in to answer for it. But I'm sure we'll be fine, and we'll have nothing to worry about. Correct? Anavari, set them up with a small contract. Something quick and hard to screw up.
Oh, delightful, isn't he? Don't worry. Once you get to know him, you'll discover that underneath Kral's gruff exterior is a heart of stone. He does soften over time, though. Anavari even claims that he actually cares about the mercenary he hires. Though evidence from Kral himself may be lacking for that assertion. So here at the Missing Hand, or any other guild hall you may choose, your adventurers will learn of a contract penned by the Mayor of Ironweald, Mayor Rathbin. In the contract is a plea for help from the small town, asking for aid in solving the nature of the sheep blight afflicting them. Rathbin asserts that the blight must not be natural in origin, as no cause of death can be found for the sheep, and the cheese decays rapidly despite the best efforts of their most experienced makers. The town is offering reward for the discovery of the cause of the blight, with a bonus if your group can also offer a cure. Now, what group of foolhardy do-gooders could turn down the opportunity for heroism and coin? Your adventurers had best stock up on provisions for the trip, and ensure that they take advantage of the plethora of shops within Baldur's Gate. The trip from Baldur's Gate to Ironweald is likely to take them about 5 days on foot, or perhaps half that with good horses. Though one should suspect delays, as the Coastway trade route has been rumored to be even more dangerous than usual since the blinding. It seems as if the borders of eerie power from the Cloakwood Forest have extended to the road. When leaving Baldur's Gate, the immediate countryside is a sprawling mass of supporting farmlands. The Coastway is a busy road full of merchants, caravans, and star-eyed adventurers of all description and type. Traders from as far south as congregate at the Basilisk Gate to gain entrance to the city. It's not uncommon to see a lineup at the toll gate as merchants and travelers wait to pay their way into the city. But your adventurers should have no trouble leaving, and I'm sure they'll make quick time heading south for the first day or two. I wouldn't worry about them much until they reach the edge of the Cloakwood. Long have stories been told of lost travelers that dared to stray from the coastway into the confines of the Cloakwood. In the surrounding environment, many a parent has threatened to leave an unruly child at the edge of the Cloakwood to be lost forever within its maze of trees. And the threat of the creatures that dwell within it is threat enough, dear squires. But we know more about why so much rumor has grown about unexplained disappearances. The Cloakwood has long harbored gateways to the Feywilds and many other planes besides, but since the blinding, this relative stability has been sundered. Have you ever witnessed a displacer beast, dear Scryer? It's a fearsome, panther-like creature with 6 legs that can appear to be in multiple places at once. It has long tendrils that project from its shoulders with fierce barbed pads at their ends. They are fierce predators, killing to feast, or as the mood strikes them, simply for sport. Now why would I haunt you with visions of such monstrous creatures? We're only at the edge of the Cloakwood after all. Well, these beasts tend to roam where the veil between the planes is thin, and after the blinding, the veil at the Cloakwood couldn't have been woven finer than if pixies were weaving the veil themselves with gossamer dreams instead of thread. The Displacer is an interplanar beast, some theorizing that its duality is in part caused by it being in 2 planes at once, thinning the lines so much that one perceives a blurring between existences. Much of the Displacer's powers are projected from their shoulder tentacles, but it's a beast born of the Feywilds that happens to prowl places near portals. With the veil so thin in the Cloakwood, other creatures are displaying similar characteristics. Do not be shocked if you hear stories that benign creatures such as birds, squirrels, and foxes seem to be in multiple places at once. But these aren't the creatures that your adventurers will fear, dear Scryers, for the Cloakwood is home to more fearsome beasts. Giant spiders and fey creatures are roaming out of the wood. Consult your manuals for giant spiders, fey spiders, boggles, blink dogs, satyrs, hobgoblins, anything fey. Even creatures native to Faerun are developing powers normally associated with the fey, or displacer beasts in particular. With so many fey about, be sure that your party isn't tempted into the woods with the quiet murmurings of will-o-wisps or the siren calls of long-lost spirits calling for aid. But fear not, Scryer. Should your adventurers be tempted off the path and into the woods, there is a circle of druids dedicated to protecting the Vale of the Cloakwood and ensuring that travelers make their way along the Coastway Road. Should your adventurers roam too deep, they may even come into contact with the legendary druid Braganir. Braganir is a druid of some renown in these parts. He most often travels in the form of a massive bear. So great and fearsome is his visage that those that travel the Cloakwood often claim the existence of dire bears in the woods. Are these rumors the fault of Braganir? Or is there a reclusive species of bear so great that he copied their fearsome countenance for his own? In his human form, Braganir is a gargantuan hirsute man clad in furs, wearing a beard down to his waist. His magics are so strong that his presence is often foreshadowed by a change in the weather, said to mimic his mood. Storms, winds, cold snaps, and hot spells are all rumored to be the whim of Dragonair. Bards even sing songs of his presence on the battlefield when the safety of Baldur's Gate or that bastion of knowledge, Candlekeep, were called into question. A rampaging bear that called the very weather to his aid. Whole companies of assaulting creatures were said to be brought down by this massive man masquerading as creature. These days, he is recluse. He reluctantly leads the circle of druids known as the Cloak Grove, dedicated to maintaining the balance of worlds within the Cloakwood. If your adventurers find themselves in too much peril, perhaps they'll be saved by this mythical man. Or perhaps they'll meet an agent of his that's being dispatched to investigate the troubles in Irewheel. I happen to have a bat within range, dear Scryers. Shall we listen to what Dragonair is saying?
Kiernan, your time in the Cloak Grove has been short, but your guardians have claimed that you show promise. You have shown cunning as the Red Fox. You have shown mastery of the form of the field mouse, gathering intelligence without notice. You've passed without being detected often enough that your guardians are calling you she who bends the grass. I know that you are fierce enough in battle, but I am calling upon your stealthy talents to see to the problems in Irewheel. Though I could not possibly spare a man in the defense of the Cloakwood, perhaps I could spare a mouse. Should you accept this task, I will rend you from your responsibilities to your guardians till you aid the sheepkind in Irewheel. They've sent call to Baldur's Gate, and be sure that some hapless sellswords will heed that call for coin. Find out what you can, and help those house dwellers. I suspect that the plague that infests Irewheel has dark magic about it. Learn what you can, and seek out the street-bound mercenaries that will seek to remedy their problem. Engage you not in combat. Let the city ones waste their blood and wield their clumsy steel. Return to us, unharmed, and ready to defend the Vale. Succeed here, and I will consider you for greater tasks.
Fascinating, Scryers. Do you think your adventurers will be tempted into the Cloakwood and face an encounter so fierce that only Dragonair can save them? Or will they stay to the road and face the creatures that are now roaming outside the confines of the woods? Perhaps they'll even survive their trip past the forest and find themselves within Irewheel. I dearly hope so. Kiernan is so desperate to prove herself to the Cloaked Grove that I think I might have to conjure a tear to shed if she doesn't get her chance to gain some acclaim. Whether you've tempted your group into the forest with wailing spirits, or harassed your group with stalking monsters, it should take about 3 days of walking south to get beyond the influence of the Cloakwood. If your adventurers pass trade caravans or other wanderers, they'll be sure to hear gossip or complaints about how the Cloakwood's influence is encroaching upon the Crow's Trade Way. Something really should be done about that at some point. I wonder if some lucky group of would-be heroes will form an entire campaign around restoring the balance of the Cloakwood. It's an enticing proposition, but I think it's well time we looked on the poor besotted folk of Irewheel. But alas, dear Scryers, I must attend to my keep for now. I've had my beholder so long that I believe his eyesight is failing him. He keeps getting himself locked in the pantry. I think he's just feeling his way along with his eye stalks at this point. The last time he got locked in there, he annihilated a month's worth of dry goods with his disintegration ray. During our next sending, we'll explore the once peaceful town of Ireweald and see if we can't get to the bottom of the mystery there. But for now, I must say farewell. Till next we tell tales in the dark, dear Scryer.